Hey, what's going on, you guys? Hey, welcome back to another episode with iTrack. Huge shout out to all the iTrack fam tapping in like you always do. Major shout out to all the members, man. I appreciate each and every one of you. If this is your first time here, what we like to do is take a look at the most interesting and creepy TikToks and kind of evaluate for ourselves whether these are fact or fake. I hope each and every one of you got some time off to enjoy with your fam on this holiday. You know, iTrack is definitely not going to leave you without something to speculate on. So let's just jump right into this thing.
And with him explaining the background, which is so important. And I am firmly convinced that he has built Sasquatches and that he has.
You know, somebody like Sean Combs can't have this many victims if he's doing it all by himself. It reminds me very much of Jeffrey Epstein, who I represented 11 victims of. And he had a whole operation with Ghislaine Maxwell and other recruiters. And similarly with Sean Combs, we think there's a lot of people and companies who were complicit, and we named them. Well, of course, those people don't like being named. They don't like being associated with Sean Combs. Many of them have come to us and said, we shouldn't be in the case. Here's why. You have to dismiss us. If you don't, we're going to go to the judge and ask the judge to dismiss us. So we've had a lot of back and forth with them. Also, we had to serve everyone, which was not easy. Sean Combs was in prison, and we wanted his attorneys to accept service. Otherwise, we could have sent somebody into the prison to serve him, but that's somewhat complicated. So we got all of that ironed out. Everybody is now served. And some of the defendants were still considering whether they really should be in or should be out. We're willing to listen to evidence. I mean, I've always said just because somebody was at a party or did business with Sean Combs does not mean that they were complicit. They may not have known. But if they did know and they turned a blind eye to it and they funded him, then they were complicit, and then we're not letting them out of the case.
When it comes to these federal cases, the more famous you are and the more money you have, the bigger the catch you are as far as the feds are concerned.
This man Bow Wow just made it 10 times worse for Diddy. Diddy ain't gonna like this.
Nah. He's like the gatekeeper to the gate.
He gonna get JD to deal with you. So if y'all don't know, Bow Wow was recently doing an interview, and he was asked, how do he feel about this whole Diddy situation? He was saying, oh, I don't know, it just don't seem real. Then they asked him, why don't it feel real? With all these allegations, what do you think about it? He said, like I said, it don't seem real to me. He said, nothing feels the same because Diddy was the gatekeeper. He was a gatekeeper to what? To people, yes? They behinds? Bow Wow essentially saying, in order for you to reach your peak, to go over the horizon, you gotta get diddled by the diddler. He said he's the gatekeeper. And then in the video, this man couldn't keep still. He was like a little kid at a park. He was twiddling his fingers. He had his hands under his legs. He rocking back and forth. So you know Diddy diddled him. He definitely had to go through Diddy to get where he wanted to be. Like he said, Diddy was the gatekeeper. He said, the party's not going to be the same.
I hear a Jinn story. There is a person that once told me that he has become adept at removing Jinn from people. We do believe in such a thing called Jinn possession, but it's not an obligatory Islamic belief. If you don't want to believe in it, no problem. You have to believe that Jinn exists. You have to believe that Jinn whisper to people. You have to even believe that a Jinn can touch a person. Anyway, there's a reason I'm telling you this story, because there's a benefit. He extracted a Jinn from a kid, and the Jinn entered Islam. And he said to him, let me tell you Muslim something. The number one tool that we use against you is porn. Number two, anime.
No way.
That's what he said.
The Jinn said that?
Yeah. He said that we use anime, people are addicted to it, and our goal is to make you Satan worshiper. If we don't make that goal, it's to make you an atheist. If we don't hit that goal, it's to make you gay. Not my words, but I'm just passing it on to think that sometimes maybe anime is not so pure for everybody. It's not Mickey Mouse here. Maybe there are some other agendas behind that. And I personally didn't understand it because all I understand anime to be is a style. So it could be a good anime, could be a bad anime. But the question is, what's the majority? I think that's the fair approach. What is the majority? Is it good messages or bad messages?
Now, porn is a pretty obvious vice you can see Jinn's using, but I didn't see anime coming. But at the end of the day, subliminal messages can be hidden in any form of entertainment, so that does make sense.
These are the craziest discoveries we made in 2024. Starting in England, where amateur archaeologists unearthed one of the largest Roman dodecahedrons ever found. Till this day though, what they were used for still remains a mystery. In Iran, they discovered the world's oldest lipstick dating back 4,000 years. An Italian junk dealer discovered that the old painting he had hung up at his family-owned restaurant was actually an original Picasso, now worth over $6.6 million. In Botswana, the world's second largest diamond ever was unearthed, and we were gifted with this clip. What? Back to Earth, a scientific expedition in Peru discovered 27 new species, including an amphibious mouse and a blob-headed fish. Scientists discovered an association between low testosterone and high anxiety. Japan discovered the skeleton panda sea squirt, which, for such a random name, is somehow the perfect description. And how could we forget? The evolution of life on Earth and even space was thrown into question after the discovery of dark oxygen on the floor of the Pacific Ocean.
CIA can break American laws. FBI can break American laws. NSA can break American laws. All the intelligence community has certain authorities granted to them which allow them a carve-out, a legal carve-out, to break a certain law in order to serve national security interests. So for example, Border Patrol and Customs and Border, they are able to actually clone any device at the border, whether it's an American citizen or a foreign citizen. They can clone a device at the border. That's one of the authorities granted to them, even though it breaks privacy laws under US laws. But the reason they have that authority is because there are times when it's in the best interest of national security to clone a device surreptitiously, clandestinely, without the owner knowing it. CIA can't do that, FBI can't do that, DIA can't do that, Marine Corps can't do that, but Customs and Border can. And then with that information, they can send that to the CIA, where FBI sends different intel, where NSA sends different intel, all according to their different authorities. And now CIA can create a packet of truly secret information that gets shared with the president about any number of national security issues, right? You and I as American citizens don't have any authorities, so we have to follow American law or else deal with the consequences. CIA can break American laws.
Hey, cloning your phone is crazy, right? Like, I had no clue. That's a piece of information I didn't know, and you probably didn't know either. Let me know what you think about that.
Are they now? The guy who made a $1 million half-court shot, but never got paid. This is Don Calhoun, and in 1993, he was selected out of 6 million contestants to shoot the half-court shot at the Chicago Bulls Stadium. And beyond belief, he actually made the shot from over 80 feet away from the hoop. The whole Chicago Bulls team then hugged and congratulated him, even Michael Jordan. But the insurance company who backed the event had no intent that he would make the shot, therefore trying to find an excuse not to pay Don. They then went back to their rules of the event and found a violation. One of the rules was that the person shooting could not have played organized basketball in the last 5 years. And 3 years prior, Don was involved in an intramural league at a recreational facility. When word spread that the insurance company wasn't going to pay Don, fans were outraged and pressured the Bulls to try and get Don his money. So out of fear for their business, the insurance company agreed to pay him $50,000 every year for the next 20 years. As of today, Don is now retired and is helping his 4 kids get into college with the prize money he won 30 years prior.
Is it true that you won't get a sunburn if you don't wear sunglasses?
Yeah. I've had dozens of people literally tell me that they stopped wearing sunglasses and going outside and they haven't burned.
Why are sunglasses bad for you to wear outside?
Yeah, so you can think about sunglasses as being the same as sunscreen except for your eyes and brain. So UVB light is required to stimulate POMC in the skin, and that goes into the bloodstream as like the peptides we talked about. But also, in order to get the production of these peptides in the brain, we also need full spectrum sunlight coming in through the eyes. So if we're wearing sunglasses that are preferentially blocking UV light, that we're not getting that stimulus in the brain to produce POMC. And it's actually really interesting, but if you look into POMC biology, The only way to unlock all of the cleavage products is in response to UVB light on the skin and the eyes in combination. If you're only exposing one or the other, you're reducing essentially the total concentration of those peptides being produced, because you're only getting production, let's say, either in the skin or in the brain. You're not getting them at the same time, and that means you're basically lowering your potential to raise the levels of these peptides because you're not engaging the whole system together. So it makes perfect sense when you think about this story of POMC being cleaved to alpha, beta, gamma, MSH. The melanocyte-stimulating hormones are telling the melanocytes to make melanin in response to the sun. So why would you want to block your ability to make new melanin? Instead, if you're blocking that, you're going to burn, because now you're not making the melanin synthetic response to help harness the photonic energy of the sun and protect your skin, and also give you the benefits of the free energy production.
The more you know.
Faces and symmetry. How can you possibly do that by hand?
There's been some interesting studies done on the faces of giant statues. One in particular is the face of Ramses. Chris Dunn was real seminal in this. He took a photo, take a copy of that photo, make it 50% transparent, make the original 50% transparent, take one, and you flip it like on that horizontal axis. It's perfectly symmetrical, left to right. Many engineers, master stonemasons, stone carvers, they see it immediately and they just dismiss the idea that this was done with pounding stones and copper chisels.
Where are the aliens?
When you say, what are the aliens? What do you mean?
Where are the aliens? Like, why don't we see them? A lot of people think we see aliens, but I've not seen any evidence of aliens. You know, we've got 6,000 satellites in orbit, and not once have we had to maneuver around an alien spacecraft.
Right. But on this Earth, the U.S. military's had to do a lot of maneuvering around objects they can't explain.
I mean, there's always a bunch of classified programs that are underway of new aircraft and new missiles and things, so that are classified even within the military. So it's, you know, only if you have the top secret compartmented clearance would you know about this new program. So then, you know, some pilot sees something fast, moving fast, and says, hey, I saw a UFO. I'm like, yeah, that was actually a new weapons program, but we can't tell you that. The split second I see any evidence of aliens, I will immediately post that on the X platform, and it'll probably be our #1 post of all time.
That'll be your biggest day,
yes,
for sure.
I mean, I've seen a whole lot of things in my short time on Earth, but I haven't seen a UFO and I haven't seen an alien. So on this particular topic, I definitely have to agree with them.
Everything is about to change. Over the course of the next few years, there will be certain things that will occur. Ships may appear over your oceans just offshore. It will not move. They will remain there to give you time to get used to the idea that we are here, to get used to the idea that this is the beginning of a great change upon your planet, of a great change in your society. You will start to see more orbs of light, so you may see some of these orbs descend and again remain fixed in a particular position that is non-threatening, giving you time to observe them, to record them, to discuss them, to start to understand that they are there. as now something that can become a relatively permanent fixture in your reality, to broaden your understanding of what reality is. Between the ships and the orbs, it may give you an opportunity to start really letting in the idea that everything is about to change.
Been through some pretty traumatizing events.
I stayed at his house. I stayed in his bedroom.
How old were you?
I was 15, and I remember him just sitting down with me, being like, this is kind of like what you got to do, Aaron, in your future. And
could Diddy be behind Aaron Carter's tragic death?
Got bad when I was about 15 years old.
Explosive new evidence suggests a sinister connection between the fallen pop star and one of Hollywood's most powerful figures. Was Aaron silenced for knowing too much?
I went through some pretty traumatizing events.
And why did Aaron reach out to Kanye West just before his death? Could Kanye's chilling claims about a Hollywood handler connected to Aaron's demise hold the key?
A lot of people come up missing. Feels like it might be a lot of that in order to control, traumatize. They want to monetize and traumatize.
With new reports suggesting the feds are re-examining Diddy's alleged connections to multiple suspicious deaths, one question looms large. Did Aaron Carter know too much? There's been a lot of buzz recently about Aaron Carter's unexpected death, and some theories are even tying it to Diddy. Reports suggest federal investigators are digging.
Now we know Kanye has reached his breaking point and has been telling nothing but truths ever since. But it seems like Diddy has just left a path of destruction ever since he went to jail. It's pretty wild.
Law of detachment. When you detach from everything, you attract everything. When you don't need any external energy to complete you, everything becomes inherently attracted to you. When you don't need anything, you gain everything. The best things in life come to you when you aren't searching for them.
Today I learned of the $500 million city that melts away every year. In the winter, massive ice blocks are harvested out of Harbin, China's river, which are used to build a magical city completely out of ice. 7,000 people work around the clock in a rush against time to construct the theme park that spans an area the size of 300 football fields. It's only open to the public 2 months out of the year, but over 18 million visitors flock to it during that time to look at more than 2,000 ice and snow sculptures. It brings in around $4.4 billion in revenue, but completely melts away once the temperatures rise again, only for it to be reconstructed again the next year.
Following some breaking news this morning, Japanese automakers Honda and Nissan have announced that they plan to merge. This would be the world's third largest automaker by sales. Honda and Nissan saying that they have signed a memo of understanding. They also say that a smaller Nissan Alliance member, Mitsubishi Motors, has agreed to join in on the talks of integrating their businesses. Automakers in Japan have lagged behind their bigger rivals in electric vehicles. They're now trying to cut costs while also making up for lost time. Stay with Eyewitness News and ABC 7 NY for the latest on this breaking story.
Mandela effect just dropped. By now, everyone has heard about these two astronauts that have been stuck in space for more than 6 months. But so many people are claiming that they swear they remember these astronauts getting rescued already. And this is actually blowing my mind because I myself vividly remember seeing a video probably about a month ago. This lady on a stretcher right after she was rescued. And I remember the video saying something along the lines of she was being taken to a hospital because her health had deteriorated from being in space for so long. Apparently that never happened because they're still up there. Side note, how did they get Santa hats if they've been up there since spring? I have searched the internet for this video that I vividly remember seeing and I can't find any trace of it. I did do some research because this totally has me freaked out. And people are saying that it's possible we're confusing these astronauts with a different crew that came back in October. But I remember this woman's face in the video. It was her. I remember this so vividly and apparently it just never happened. They're still up there. I don't know. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Let me know what you remember.
Hey, what are they doing with Santa hats on? I mean, is the government really just playing in our face? Or did they just plan on being there some extra time?
Rare photos you haven't seen before. This is how big the Statue of Liberty's face is compared to a person. This is how big a polar bear's paw is compared to a human hand. This is how big Earth is compared to Saturn. This is what Queen Elizabeth II looked like when she was 18. This is how horses fly on a plane. And this is what a completely empty airplane looks like. This is what the largest flying animal ever recorded looks like compared to a human. This is how big a blue whale heart is compared with a human being. This is a picture of one of the last Tasmanian tigers, an animal that went extinct in 1936. Tourists used to be able to freely climb up the Great Pyramid of Giza in Egypt to sunbathe and have tea parties. This is how condoms were tested in the 1930s. This is what the end of 13,000 miles of the Great Wall of China looks like. This is Ralph Lincoln, the 11th generation cousin of Abraham Lincoln. This is what the Eiffel Tower looked like as it was being built. This is Ruth Malcolmson, the woman who won the 1924 Miss America pageant. This is Robert Wadlow, the tallest human who ever lived.
Recently, Donald Trump suggested Canada join the U.S. as a state. Here's how that might look. The U.S. territory would span 7.6 million square miles, 13% of Earth's land area, making it the largest country, surpassing Russia's 6.6 million square miles. With vast resources, the nation would have 200 billion barrels of proven oil reserves, abundant timber, minerals, and the world's largest freshwater supply. Its population of 373 million would bring a substantial increase, though it would still lag far behind China and India. Economically, Canada's 2.2 trillion GDP would rank as the fourth largest among US states, behind New York, but ahead of Florida. The total GDP of $28 trillion would solidify America's position as the world's largest economy. However, per capita GDP, at $53,834, the state of Canada would rank near the bottom, just above Mississippi and below Arkansas, despite its resource wealth.
I didn't realize at the time that the Quran was very different than the Bible, even though there's some crossover, in that the Bible is a little bit more chronological. The Quran is situated with the longest chapters at the front and the shortest chapters at the back. It reads a little bit more confusing. You don't necessarily start from the beginning and work through. The Bible is 66 books, and it's 66 books. It's written over a period of 1,600 years on 3 different continents by close to 40 different authors in 3 different languages. And so it's an anthology, whereas the Quran is kind of situated in one particular vein of history. It's written in 7th century Arabia. It's written in single language, Hijazi script Arabic. So even though it's claiming to harken back to stories that predated and, reflect on some of the stories that you find in the Bible of the prophets of Abraham, of Moses, of Jonah, even Jesus, John the Baptist, Mary, there and there, it's still very much one place at one time in a different way that the Bible is.
Hey, now he's an actual scholar on the Bible and actually he's done his homework. And this is the same guy who had Billy Carson shook.
I can't get into the house. I can't get home.
Frozen doodle water.
I can't get in my building.
New York City in the Bronx.
They got
a sewage pipe burst, bro. So people is literally in doodle water, bro. Like what's going on in the Bronx? Like all that money, and we in doodle water, frozen doodle water. Right. This shit crazy.
Hey, New York, I know y'all are going through it.
A former OpenAI researcher known for whistleblowing the company has now been found dead in his San Francisco apartment. The Mercury News reports police found the body of 26-year-old Sachir Baliani on November 26 after being called to do a well-being check. The medical examiner says he died by suicide and there are no signs of foul play. His death comes 3 months after publicly accusing OpenAI of violating U.S. copyright law while developing ChatGPT. His information was expected to play a key part in lawsuits against the company. OpenAI has said all of its work is legal under fair use laws.
There's a reason why there is a growing interest in the mysteries of lost ancient civilizations. People of all kinds of walks of life are looking into the nuanced details and realizing oh, wait a second. When Graham Hancock says that there's a missing chapter of human history, this is reality. We don't know how they built the Great Pyramid. It is a fact that the Egyptians left us with no explanation of any kind. Out of the tens of thousands of hieroglyphs all over Egypt, not a single one of them describes how they constructed the pyramid or how they cut granite stones. Not one.
Have you ever seen where the rainbow touches the ground before? Because there it fucking is. Right there. Right there.
Tunnels under Hollywood.
Okay.
Do you believe in them? Do you think they exist?
They are real.
Really? I knew I would get.
I'm just pissed I'm not invited.
There's so many different tunnels because.
Do you think celebrities really use them? Do you think people really use them?
Yes.
You think it's the 1%? You think it's just
It's definitely the 1%. We built our city on top of a city that kind of already existed. So there's just a lot under there. And the problem is I've been invited to these scenarios. I've felt like the sickest, most led feeling ever, and I've never gone down those routes.
Obviously believe all of this Diddy stuff is real and darker than it's even shown.
Yes. I'm glad people are finally seeing it. I think it's because all we do is know his music and he's great. We actually see someone as a monster. It's like, holy, like, yeah. I
Kim
think
Porter, right?
they offed her, absolutely. Allegedly. Yeah.
Does it ever scare you to say things like this?
No,
But I guess
I have no fear, which is why I don't think they've taken me out.
a while where people really thought you were Illuminati. I'm not sure.
We may still hang out sometimes. I'm just not going to be a Hollywood puppet and entertain anything dark or illegal. Tried to blackmail and coerce me over and over and over to do horrible things, and I'm just not a horrible person.
Just 3 minutes of microwaving can release billions of nanoparticles and millions of micro. Just 3 minutes of microwaving can release billions of nanoparticles and millions of microplastics into the food. We're talking obesogens, endocrine disrupting chemicals like BPA, phthalates, PFAS. These are being leached into the products that the plastic is surrounding or containing.
The LinkedIn co-founder says 9 to 5 jobs will be extinct by 2034.
I agree 1,000%. You think Microsoft and Google are buying these nuclear power plants to power AI so they can hire more people, or let the LLMs go crazy and autonomous agents go crazy? And I'm hearing that Zuckerberg and Elon are having conversations about how they can work together on autonomous vehicles and shit. Like, Meta's not coming out with one, but they're going to figure out what they can do together, which is not good for Apple. And truth be told, if, let's say hypothetically, I was a MAGA man, which I'm not, that ran a Fortune 500 company, and I want to skew away from wokeism and hiring blacks and Latinos, now you can't say racism because the person that I hire is autonomous or is a character that's not even a human. But if it has enough human intelligence, I can skate around the racism by putting my money there.
I mean, a lot of people still haven't accepted that fact yet. You know, by 2030, 2035, a lot of our basic jobs that we know now will be given to robots. Facts.
On January 25th, 2025, the planets come into alignment. On this day, a rare planetary alignment is unlocking powerful cosmic energy. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to align your thoughts, your intentions, and your vibration with the universe. The energy on January 25th is like cosmic Wi-Fi, connecting you directly to the universe's frequency, making it easier than ever to manifest your desires and align with your highest potential.
I saw Sundar post it. I saw it in my feed. I ended up missing my next meeting because I had to figure out how long will it take for us to crack the encryption standards that we use for Bitcoin. Nick, here's the answer, because I was so tilted by this idea. So if you think of Willow as essentially like one stable, logical qubit equivalent in a chip, we need about 4,000 to break RSA 2048. And we need about 8,000 to break SHA 256, which is the underlying encryption framework for Bitcoin. So I think you're right. I think we're in the sort of like
the end game,
2 to 5 year shot clock. No, I mean, I think what'll have to happen is some of these chains will need to obviously re-implement something at a pretty foundational level. The weird thing, as Freeberg says, is like the Willow chip's error correction gets better the more of these things you start to use together. Now, there are some really big problems inside these chips, like logical interconnects are very complicated. If you put two chips on a board, like the C2C communication is all this stuff that we haven't figured out how to do, but this is a big deal. And I was really like, oh my God, what's going on here?
A lot of this quantum computer talk is getting kind of ridiculous. If they can crack Bitcoin's encryption, that means they can put their self out of business, and they'll put every other business out of business. these chips will become so strong that no business alive will survive. And I hope that's clear. Like, so there's a point where it's just becomes talk, you know? It becomes way too ridiculous.
Now at 10:30, Walmart employees will soon be wearing body cameras in what the nation's largest retailer calls a new security measure to protect shoppers and employees.
Walmart isn't the only retailer to implement body-worn cameras.
Now Walmart has decided to try it out, body cameras on their employees. So what do customers think? Walmart employees wearing body cameras.
I think it's a little bizarre. I don't want someone to just follow me with a camera while I'm getting groceries.
Walmart already is testing the technology at stores in Texas, and soon SoCal Walmart workers could be wearing them too. The nation's largest retailer says it's not just to deter shoplifters. It's also to keep their employees safe from increasingly aggressive customers. Shoppers we talked with tonight in Burbank have mixed reviews, but agreed if employees in blue vests are wearing cameras, it might just encourage customers to stay off the naughty list.
It is crazy that they're implementing their employees wear cameras, but it's even crazier that people feel like they need to be aggressive in a Walmart. Like, that's crazy. You got bigger problems than these cameras, man, if that's how you feel.
What the hell is going on? Are they fighting?
It's a freaking battle. Whoa.
The largest stone moved in human history is the Ramesseum statue in Egypt. It's 1,000 metric tons. That was inexplicably moved 170 miles from the quarry in Aswan. They say that the stones would have been moved on tree logs. They say that it was the Lebanon cedar trees. It's one of the softest on earth. If you were to put significant weight on it, it would either crush it, crumble it, or at least dent it out of a circle. When you look into the nuanced details, it becomes abundantly clear that the true history of mankind was more advanced than what we were taught in school. Because it's like, if these pyramids were not tombs, then what were they? When you walk through it, it's utterly bizarre. Like, you go through this 300-foot long shaft that's like 3 by 3, and then when you get up to the Grand Gallery, it's the same thing. It was like smooth like a slide. This thing is unbelievably different than any type of Egyptian burial site. Never mind that there was no mummies found. There's not one single glyph in any of the pyramids whatsoever.
Scientists have just discovered the first bacterial species evolving to survive in space. For the last 24 years, thousands of bacteria and fungi species have been hitching a ride to the International Space Station and have started to grow into self-sustaining communities. The microgravity and higher radiation levels have accelerated mutation rates within these species and altered the selection of traits that make for the most successful bacteria. Space bacteria, as a result, have started to grow faster, form thicker biofilms, and sometimes even become more resistant to antibiotics. Some species the team studied, like Deinococcus radiodurans, can even be found living on the outside of the space station. They also discovered Methylobacterium, a bacteria totally unique to the space station. Kind of interesting, because if they don't exist on Earth at all, that would technically make them aliens. Aliens that we accidentally created. Let's just hope that when we start to disassemble the space station in 2028, we don't bring back any space microbes with us, because I've seen enough sci-fi to know how that turns out. If you like science and tech breakthroughs, follow for more.
This was captured on a live beach camera last night in New Jersey, and I really don't know what it is. Love to hear you guys' opinions. I will tell you that it changed positions, and when I say that, I mean the thing in the middle of the screen. You can see it's green in color, and it starts to flash. There's a flash, and it did that, and it just pulsed. This video has not been edited in any way. I just sped it up to 5x so you can see the process of it. Hundreds of us witnessed it live on the beach cams, which are live 24/7. I have them both linked in my bio.
Astronaut has been released from hospital after returning to Earth with an unspecified medical condition. 4 astronauts landed off the coast of Florida in a SpaceX Dragon capsule on Friday, after almost 8 months on the International Space Station. They were meant to come back 2 months ago, but the crew was delayed by Boeing's faulty Starliner and then Hurricane Milton. And when people return, they can feel dizzy and sick for weeks, whilst they readjust to Earth's gravity. But one astronaut, who hasn't been named, was flown to hospital and kept in for observation. They've now been released, and NASA says they're in good health. 7 people remain on the space station, including Butch Wilmore and Sonny Williams, who have been stranded in space since June.
So it looks like they did make it back after all. That's good to know.
According to psychology, you overthink because you don't write. You are anxious because you don't act. You procrastinate because you don't have a plan. You stress because you don't train. You lack clarity because you don't journal. All your problems have a solution, but you still search for something that can miraculously end your suffering. I read somewhere that the magic you are looking for lies in the work you are not doing, so start doing it.
You know, I had to leave you off with a gem. Happy holidays to each and every one of you guys. Big shout out to all the iTrack fam, man. I appreciate you guys for tapping in and watching another one with me. If you haven't already, smash that like button for me, smash that subscribe button, and join the iTrack fam. Once again, happy holidays, and I will definitely catch you on the next one.